Now, knowing you, I know that you're aware of the things that people are saying. You're moving up in two-weight classes. You're the smaller man. Whatever you do, Terence Crawford, don't exchange against them. What do you feel you have to do?
Be myself. I'm 41-0 for a reason.
Stephen A.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to play
Mayweather was undefeated for the last half of his career.
For more than 20 years, Floyd Mayweather's flawless 50-0 record seemed untouchable. He was the elusive master of defense who repeatedly made elite opponents look ordinary. But after one unforgettable night, a powerful statement from the only fighter who had faced both men threatened to challenge that legacy. Suddenly, the argument was no longer simply about who was better. It became a question of whether Mayweather's entire era had been surpassed. The controversy erupted when Terence Crawford's hand was raised after his brilliant victory over Canelo Alvarez, accomplishing something many believed could never happen.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight.
But the biggest surprise came during the post-fight media session. Reporters asked Canelo to compare Crawford with his former opponent, Floyd Mayweather, and Canelo answered without hesitation as cameras and journalists waited for his response. He simply stated,
"You can compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence Bud Crawford, if you can."
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
Coming from the only fighter who has shared the ring with both men, those words carried enormous weight. This wasn't merely another boxing opinion. It was a stunning declaration that sent shockwaves across the sport. That brief comment reignited a debate that had been building for years, and soon, another major voice stepped forward. Watching from the sidelines, Stephen A. Smith was immediately drawn to what had unfolded. Like many others, he expected Crawford to rely on his technical ability, maintain distance, and outbox a naturally bigger and stronger opponent. But that was not how the fight played out.
Well, I appreciate Crawford making my prediction come through. Coming into the fight, I had him winning by decision. I thought he was the superior boxer. I thought he would be able to take a punch. And as long as he didn't stay there and exchange with Canelo, I thought he could do it. What surprised me is that there were times during the fight, he did stand there and exchange with Canelo and took it. Took some body shots to the liver. Took some headshots. Exchanged. And still ended up winning this fight. I thought from the 8th round on, he just put on a boxing clinic. But I gotta give credit where credit is due. Crawford deserved to win the fight.
Smith was genuinely surprised that Crawford did more than simply weather the storm. Instead, he willingly stood in front of Canelo and traded punches, showing that his abilities went far beyond technical boxing. He displayed toughness and determination. Smith explained that he never expected Crawford to stay in the pocket, exchange shots, and repeatedly withstand Canelo's attacks. Yet that is exactly what happened. He also gave his scorecard for the fight, having Crawford ahead by 5 rounds to 4 after 9 rounds, before Crawford took complete control and clearly won the final 3. He absorbed Canelo's hardest punches and answered with combinations of his own, thriving in moments when a smaller fighter might normally have broken down.
Crawford is a special fighter because he's got a mean streak. He doesn't back up from anything. He's usually the superior boxer in the ring. He finds a way to win. No matter who he's going up against, no matter what power you have, what boxing skills you have, he is truly a generational kind of fighter. He wants to go in the ring and not just beat you, but show you he was a better man. And he's not one who believes that just a knockout does that. He likes fights outboxing you and showing you that his skill level is superior to yours. And he showed it tonight.
Stephen A. Smith called the performance a true boxing masterclass, but despite being highly impressed, he still wasn't prepared to place Crawford above the sport's longtime king. He remembered another type of master altogether, an elusive fighter who seemed almost impossible to touch, a defensive phantom whose style was something Crawford, despite all his toughness and skill, had never quite replicated.
Mayweather was undefeated for the last half of his career with one hand. He constantly broke his hand.
Yeah.
He would go into a ring knowing he had no shot at knocking somebody out because his hands were hurt too much, and literally walked in the ring and said, I'm going to embarrass you and humiliate you by showing the world you can't hit me.
This was a point where Stephen A. Smith established an important distinction that reshaped the entire debate. He reminded viewers that Floyd Mayweather was a defensive puzzle, a fighter whose brilliance came from making opponents miss while finding ways to win without taking unnecessary punishment. With hand problems becoming a recurring issue during the latter portion of his career, Floyd understood that relying solely on knockout power was not a realistic strategy. His approach was built around precision, movement, defense, and minimizing damage, and this was far more than a simple theory. It was a well-documented part of his career.
Floyd Mayweather looks me in my face and he says, I'm gonna take him out about the 8th or 9th round. And I said, your hand's always broken. You ain't known for your punching power since you moved up from lightweight to welterweight. Why are you so sure you're gonna do this? He said, Stephen A., he's a UFC fighter. He said, and he's a striker. He's accustomed to coming at you and throwing punches. What he's not accustomed to doing is punching while he's throwing backwards, while he's moving backwards and pushing you off of him. He says, I'm gonna walk right into him and stay at his chest. He's gonna have to push me off in order to throw his punches. He said he's gonna be circling the ring. He said by around 4 or 5, he's not gonna have any legs. He's gonna be done. And he said, and I'll just toy with him and keep him around until around the 8th or the 9th round. And that is exactly what Floyd Money Mayweather did. He told me exactly what he was gonna do, and he did it.
He's the man.
Mayweather openly acknowledged that his hands were extremely fragile, even revealing that an injury prevented him from sparring for an entire month before his bout with Conor McGregor.
You hurt your hand? Huh? I thought you hurt your hand. How about so? Okay. All right. Relax, baby. The job is done. All right.
Put in a bucket of ice, man. I'll get a bucket of ice. It's killing me.
I'm saying Shane hit me with a hell of a shot. Okay. Actually, 2 shots. Oh, okay. But even in that particular round, what I said to Shane was this. I was like,
you said something to him when you grabbed him.
I said, you gotta kill me.
Oh shit. I wasn't ready, bro.
I said that was a good one. I said that was a good one, but you gotta kill me. Wow. I said you gotta kill me. And then I'm not gonna lie, I meant it.
Adding another controversial element, long-standing reports have claimed that during the latter part of his career, Mayweather primarily competed in Las Vegas, where fighters have reportedly been permitted to receive numbing injections such as xylocaine for hand-related pain. The suggestion has fueled speculation that his recurring hand problems influenced both the location and strategy of his fights. Rather than allowing those limitations to slow him down, Mayweather adapted his style and became exceptionally difficult for opponents to reach.
Rocky Marciano was 49-0 before Floyd got to 50-0. He was a heavyweight champ. Did anyone ever consider Rocky Marciano the GOAT? No, not seriously, no. Why would Floyd be considered the GOAT? Because he beat more fighters than Rocky did, more great ones? That's true. But really, Floyd was careful in the way he selected opponents. Don't get that twisted. It's not that Floyd didn't fight a lot of great fighters. He did. It's not that I don't think he would have beaten a lot of the tougher fighters than he fought. I think he probably would have, but he didn't do it. He waited. He waited till Pacquiao wasn't at his best anymore. He didn't fight Margarito when Margarito was tearing everyone up. He waited for the right time to fight people. He got paid twice as much for fighting Pacquiao in a less dangerous fight than he would have had he fought him when everyone wanted to see him fight. Floyd is among the all-time greats, but he ain't number one.
Trainer Greg Hackett shared a similar perspective, describing the version of Floyd who faced Canelo as a fully developed fighter with an incredibly refined and dependable style. He contrasted that polished approach with what he viewed as Crawford's more aggressive, wilder-like mentality in the ring.
I can't say he's capping. I can't, because I don't know what he felt. But when I heard that, what I think is, when Floyd beat me, I was 23, I wasn't polished. When Bud beat me, I was the man. I was the man. And he beat me fair and square. He beat me at my game and he beat me at his game. That's why Canelo said that. Do I believe that? It's tough to believe. But I can only take Canelo's word because he's the man that's been in the ring with both of them. But I understand why he said it. I was a kid when I fought Floyd. He wasn't a kid literally, but he was young. He was young. There was a lot he didn't know. There was a lot he didn't understand about boxing that he later on learned and got better. But Bud beat the better version of me, even though it's the ran down version. I'm saying that because it is some wear and tear there with Canelo. I've been saying it the whole time. When a guy got almost 70 fights in current time, with all those big camps he's been doing and all that, trust me, it's some wear and tear there. I'm not making excuses for Canelo. I'm just saying.
I don't know. That's what it gives it that air.
I also think you got to remember when you talking about a Mexican fighter, they big on punishment. He might also feel Crawford punches harder than Floyd and took more chances than Floyd took. Floyd really was super speed that night. Like, everything speed, and it irritated Canelo because Canelo couldn't do what he wanted to do, and he looked nothing like himself. Like I said, I think it was just times where Canelo felt like, damn, I could have had him. With Floyd, I think he felt like paralyzed. Like, damn, I can't catch this motherfucker. He too fast. But with Crawford, I felt like he maybe was saying, damn, I could have, if I would have threw this, or if I would have did that. You know what I mean? Because it was times Crawford sat there and caught a punch and countered back. You know what I'm saying? He let Canelo throw. Like, go ahead, throw your shit. He caught that shit, boom, and come right back with the hook. Same shot he caught Earl with. He was touching Canelo with some of that same shit, man. And it was just like, and it was times where Crawford was imposing himself on Canelo. He was stepping to Canelo at times. He didn't do it the whole fight, but I'm just saying it was times he stepped to him. Floyd did too, but Floyd just was so fast, so much faster, and the education was like totally different. Like when Canelo fought Floyd, Canelo was in middle school. He wasn't even, you know what I'm saying? Floyd by that time was already a Harvard graduate. You know what I'm saying? So,
according to Stephen A. Smith himself,
can't say that. I think that Floyd Mayweather was such a magician defensively. And we have to look at Floyd Money Mayweather in this regard. Once he moved up to welterweight, his hands were always damaged. So he kind of knew he wasn't going to be able to knock you out for the most part. And still, he walked into the ring and put on masterful performances because he was so superior skill-wise and defensively. You can't say enough. Tonight with Crawford, for example, we saw him take a punch on several occasions. With Floyd, we didn't see that too often because you couldn't hit him. That's the difference.
Crawford, by comparison, absorbed Canelo's punches and showed that he could handle the physical pressure while fighting through adversity. But according to Stephen A. Smith, having to demonstrate that toughness was exactly what separated Crawford from Mayweather. Before the argument could become even more intense, another important point emerged. The two champions came from completely different periods of boxing. Their comparison wasn't simply about ability. It was also about the eras they competed in. Terence Crawford himself recognized that distinction, respectfully explaining that Floyd was the best fighter of his generation, while he considers himself the best of his own.
He just got something that I want.
And it's not just the title, it's what else?
It's everything. He got everything. And I'm coming to get it.
When you beat him, you'll have everything.
That's right.
This viewpoint introduces an important distinction, showing that greatness does not follow one fixed path, but can belong to the fighter who dominates during a particular era. Age also makes the comparison more complicated. Floyd's uncle, Jeff Mayweather, pointed out that Floyd was already 36 and beyond his prime when he faced a much younger Canelo. That factor makes comparing that performance with Crawford facing a more seasoned Canelo at his peak extremely difficult.
Well, also if we remember, Canelo that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course. Yeah, nobody and that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he still took him, into deep waters. So
What was Canelo? What, 20-something? 20 what? 23? 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah, but
a man that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people. But
How you at the top of your career in your prime? You in your prime. You ain't in your prime when you're at 36.
It shifts the debate away from a direct head-to-head comparison and instead presents them as two champions who dominated their own separate chapters of boxing history.
We've had a lot of comparisons between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in a fight between Terence and Floyd. And I truly don't know the answer to that question.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who will win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd will win that
Yes,
fight.
sir. I love you, Terrence.
Always figures it out.
Yeah,
he's a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ and
But
that
the
shit
funny
is
thing
crazy.
about it is Terrence has been the only other guy that people can say he always figures it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
But you gotta have an OG somewhere.
Anybody
though.
else? Yeah.
There's an OG
Somebody
somewhere.
got a pioneer, right? Yeah, you got it.
There's an OG you can't out-figure out somewhere. And I just believe Floyd is that OG you can't out-figure out.
The discussion surrounding their prime years and defensive approaches is complicated, but one achievement stands out as undeniable. Terence Crawford has accomplished something remarkable on his resume that Floyd Mayweather never managed to achieve during his own legendary career.
In accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
By defeating Canelo, Crawford became the first male boxer to claim undisputed status across 3 different weight classes. The achievement was so significant that influential boxing figure Turkey Alalshik immediately called Crawford the fighter of the century. To put it into perspective, Mayweather captured world titles in 5 weight divisions, but he never became undisputed by holding all 4 major belts in any one of them. Crawford, meanwhile, collected every major belt in 3 separate weight classes. That contrast adds another major chapter to their legacies. And it wasn't simply luck, it came through intense preparation. Crawford later explained that his training camp placed a major emphasis on building strength so his body would be ready for whatever Canelo brought into the ring. The accomplishment secured Crawford a unique place in boxing history, showing that he conquered entire divisions in a way even Money Mayweather never did. But their careers differed in more than championships. Their routes to success were also completely different. Mayweather wasn't just a fighter, he became the architect of his own legacy. Analyst Max Kellerman noted that after Floyd moved beyond lightweight, his career became an example of strategic matchmaking. He selected his opponents, determined when to face them, and managed the business side carefully, making sure the potential reward justified the risk.
It's wild, because if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him lightweight. He jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times.
This strategy, however, has faced criticism from the newer generation. Rising star Ryan Garcia offered a blunt assessment, arguing that Mayweather became an expert at knowing exactly when to take a fight and when to avoid one, accusing him of influencing boxing negatively by steering clear of opponents when they were at their absolute best.
Y'all talking about this kid Ryan Garcia. Tank got his followers from kicking ass. Ryan Garcia got his followers from YouTubers. There's a difference. So you want to be a YouTuber or you want to be a fighter? Tank is a fighter.
How did Gervonta know that my rib got separated while I was in the fight? Or before the fight? How do you think they got the information? You gotta pay. Who do you think told me that they paid? So I know how much money it takes to betray Ryan Garcia. I know a little glimpse.
Crawford, by contrast, has built a reputation as a relentless competitor who appears willing to face anyone in order to establish his dominance. If we compare both fighters at their absolute peaks, the physical differences become especially important. Crawford stands about an inch taller, but the bigger factor is his 3-inch reach advantage, which could have created a serious challenge even for a prime Mayweather in a highly technical matchup. Mayweather's resume is undeniably impressive, but critics argue that his opponent's selection was carefully managed. For years, fans watch him call for elite competition while maintaining control over when and how those fights happened. Beyond Crawford's aggressive mindset, analysts and former champions have also highlighted the physical advantages he would bring. As boxing legend Shane Mosley explained,
I think Crawford is better. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because it's bigger. But Mayweather is definitely technician. I mean, like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford, this is his era.
While Mayweather carefully constructed a nearly untouchable defensive stronghold, Crawford has approached boxing more like a conqueror, entering dangerous territory and taking control by force. Yet despite Crawford's remarkable rise, plenty of voices in boxing remain unwilling to place the two fighters in the same conversation. They argue that the only obvious connection is that both are elite black champions, while their actual styles are completely different. One analyst put it bluntly, saying, Terence Crawford is not Floyd Mayweather. They are both black, and that's where the similarities end. Critics emphasize that Crawford appears comfortable in exchanges. He takes punches, sticks his tongue out, and willingly turns fights into wars. At times, he keeps his hands low and chooses to trade at close range. Mayweather represented almost a complete opposite philosophy. He was faster, more precise, and possessed a defensive understanding that many consider among the greatest ever. From this perspective, the constant comparisons are driven more by excitement than reality, fueled by fans searching for someone capable of inheriting Floyd's throne. And the action inside the ring wasn't the only source of controversy, because the Crawford-Canelo blockbuster came with plenty of drama before it even began. Before the opening bell, rumors of potential judging problems were already circulating. The officials selected for the contest had previously been involved in the controversial scoring of Manny Pacquiao's draw, creating concerns that their approach could potentially favor Canelo. The controversy then moved into the world of high-stakes gambling when streamer Aiden Ross became involved in a storm of accusations. Ross had reportedly placed a $1 million wager on Canelo, but allegations of insider information surfaced after a mysterious phone call was said to have convinced him to change his bet to Crawford just moments before the fight.
Jordan, we're switching the bat.
Huh?
We're definitely switching our bat.
What? What you mean?
No.
Don't stay with Canelo.
We're going Crawford.
If he's saying that, everybody.
Those allegations only intensified the conspiracy theories, adding another layer of mystery around Crawford's historic victory. So where does that leave the debate? The legacy question is far more complicated than it first appears. On one side stands Floyd Mayweather, the undefeated defensive master and strategic genius who built an extraordinary career alongside a massive financial empire. On the other is Terence Crawford, the adaptable and aggressive fighter who became the first man to fully conquer 3 weight divisions while consistently embracing the toughest challenges. Stephen A. Smith's argument wasn't simply about who would win a hypothetical matchup. It raised a much bigger question about what greatness actually means. Is greatness defined by the flawless artist who rarely allowed opponents to expose a weakness? Or does it belong to the relentless conqueror who accepted danger and continued taking everything in front of him? Perhaps the answer isn't found only by comparing their records, but by looking at what each fighter accomplished and what they made fans believe was possible inside the ring. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss our upcoming videos. And be sure to share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next one.